The next one in the list is the bishop's opening. This is very easy too, because it starts after e4, e5, and now bishop c4. This is the start of the bishop's opening. Most of the time, it transposes to the Italian game, because after knight c6, knight f3, we are in the Italian game. In the top level, on top level, white is playing the bishop's opening in order to avoid the Petrov's defense. If white is 100% sure that black is playing the Petrov's defense after knight f3, knight f6, you can play in the second move bishop c4. Now knight f6, I think white is continuing with d3, and he's avoiding the main lines of the Petrov's defense. Here the main line goes by c6, I think. Knight f3, d5, bishop b3, and now we enter the cosmos of the bishop's opening, which is a very interesting opening, by the way. I think white has many very nice ideas here. He delayed the development of the knight on b1, and it's not so easy. Black cannot really win the pawn on e4 because of knight g5 in this line, attacking f7 and attacking e4. If you are interested in this opening, there is one grandmaster who was playing it very regularly on top level. This is Sergei Tiviakov, a Russian grandmaster who lives in Netherlands, and he also published some DVDs. And I think it's a very, very, very serious opening. But the thing is that black can of course play knight c6, and in most of the time, white transposes to the Italian game. I don't remember now exactly. Is there a way for white to avoid the transposition to the Italian game? I think there is with d3, Anna. Is it?
Yeah, in some games, white plays d3 followed by f4, and that also deserves attention. So this is another way to play it. Just you have to be careful with black's moves, like, for example, d3, for example, knight f6, f4, bishop c5. Sometimes you have to be careful with knight f3, knight g4, even though knight g4 is not like winning the game, but you have to know how to react to that. But
Okay.
mainly, I agree, bishop c4 is played in order to avoid the Petrov. I don't think Petrov is one of the most popular openings among like people under 2000, because people say like, oh no, it's boring, let's play something more interesting.
Yeah.
But if yeah, maybe I know that even in like within my community there are some people who like to go for the Petrov. So if you want to avoid the Petrov, you can start with that second move bishop c4, and it's completely normal. So as Georgie mentioned, you are avoiding the Petrov, but you are allowing this line with knight f6, d3, c6. And after knight f3, d5, bishop b3, you have to know how to react to many of black's replies. D takes e4 is actually just a mistake, because after knight g5 it's difficult to protect the pawn on f7. But instead of d takes e4, the main moves are bishop d6 immediately, or bishop b4, and only after c3 bishop d6. Why did we need that? We needed that because black has a strong center and black wants to keep it, while white wants to attack the center. And if black goes immediately bishop d6, then white can attack with knight c3, bishop g5, maybe starting with bishop g5, maybe sometimes first taken on d5, maybe in fact first making the castle and all these things. So with checking on b4 first, we take this c3 square away from the knight. So only then bishop d6, and then it's actually easier to keep the center. Another interesting line, and the line which is seen quite often, is when black plays a5. The idea is very primitive. We just want to play a4 and trap the bishop. So for example, even after e takes d5, we can play a4, bishop c4, b5. Good. But if white goes with a3, sometimes there are ideas, not immediately, but later on after the development, that black plays a4 followed by rook a5, and the rook is protecting the d5 pawn with this quite artificial way, but this is the line. Also, of course, white may play a4 here, but yeah, it's like in some of the lines, the inclusion of the moves a5, a4 is in black's favor. So that are like these are like the main directions. We can't actually go too deep into the opening because then only for one opening we will need more than one day.
But you know a lot about this opening. I'm surprised. Rook a5.
Don't you think that I have to know something about chess after 25 years?
But about the bishop's opening, rook a5. What a nuance. Nice.
What can I do?
What a nuance. So the bishop's opening, actually I would rate it better than standard because it's better than the Pozziani and the King's Gambit and the Vienna game. It's a very serious opening, although it's not played a lot, it's a good opening.
Yeah, I also think so. It's even played on the top level, so
yeah.
So makes sense. Oh, Petrov's defense! We were talking about it! Petrov, our favorite, maybe not our, but definitely a favorite opening but by many top players. What do I think about the Petrov? I think that it's very, very solid. And I think it's good for people who like don't have these high expectations, who just want to get a normal position, who don't want to enter some complicated lines. Well, there are still some lines which are quite complicated, but usually we get the position where these central pawns are gone. So, for example, after knight f6, there are three main moves. The main move is knight to e5. Also, there is d4, a very serious move. And also, white can try to transpose to 4 knights after knight c3, knight c6. Though black also has an option of playing bishop b4 here. But yeah, the main ones are knight e5 or d4. And after knight e5, black plays d6. Please don't play knight e4 because after queen e2 you will be actually in troubles. That's not good for black.
Anna?
So first, yes?
What about knight c6?
Instead of d6?
Instead of d6, yeah.
I heard about it, but I still think that a person who plays Petrov should play solid. So let's go for d6.
But you know this move, the Stafford Gambit.
I know. I even saw it. Someone very strong playing knight c6 in some blitz game. So, I mean, if you spend like a few minutes looking at knight c6, you will realize that after knight c6, black doesn't have enough of compensation in this line. So it's
maybe we should bullet play this line, and you with white.
I'm so bad in bullets, so that I think better we don't try it, because any line for you will be okay. I mean, with you especially having so much experience in bullets.
It would be fun. It would be fun. No, you know that the Stafford Gambit is a big meme in the chess internet community because of Eric Rosen again and other streamers. And actually, in Bullet and in Blitz games with low time control, like 3 without any increment, it's a very dangerous thing if you don't know how to react against it. But of course, it's not really serious. Yeah, it's objectively white is better, of course. Sorry, I interrupted you. You were continuing with d6 or
No,
knight
it's
e5?
fine. You actually mentioned a very interesting possibility, and I believe some of our viewers may get interested in that, and they will check it a little bit more and win some games. So yeah, but the main move is d6. We ask the knight to go away. Now the main move is knight f3. Sometimes you could see the games with knight c4, and that was even played in the World Championship matches, for example, the one between Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana. So the idea of knight c4 is that after knight e4, queen e2, queen e7, then to play knight e3, heading for the d5 square. But if I remember correctly, Caruana reacted in a very surprising but quite a good way. He played knight c6, and after knight d5, he played knight d4. With bring the game into the end game, and he comfortably equalized. Though of course, like not so many people will know it, and after knight e3, maybe many people will just play c6, but okay, it's another story. Once upon a time, really long ago, knight f7 was the move that was tested in many of the games. And the main trick here is that after king f7, d4, black cannot take on e4 because of the check on h5. So after g6, there is queen d5. After king g8, there is also queen d5. King e6 is just too risky, and after king e7, I think it's queen e2. So in general, you should just know that you shouldn't take that pawn, but you should just play. I think c5 is considered to be the
C5,
main
yeah.
here. And after it was checked with the engine, and the engine is showing is like here. The engine is showing quite a big advantage for black. So white stopped playing knight f7. I don't even remember when I saw the last game with knight f7. So normally people go knight f3, and after knight e4, we enter this position with symmetrical pawn structure, which is very solid for black. And now there are many moves which were tested for white here, but okay, we are speaking about Petrov defense. We will not go deeper. I think it was already quite deep, and quite many variations have been mentioned. So how would I rate Petrov's defense? I think it's great. I think it's a great opening actually on any level. It's a bit too boring if you are a tactical player, but it's great if you are a solid positional player. Moreover, a big plus of the Petrov is that, well, you have to learn only one opening. After e4, you play e5. Most likely, people will go for knight f3, and after knight f6, you are already in the Petrov. Comparing to knight c6, after knight c6, you have to be ready, like for Scotch, for Roy Lopez, for Italian, Piano, for four knights. It's much wider.
And this is my video about the Petrov's defense in German language, where I recommend in the main line after knight d5, knight f6, knight e5, d6, knight f3, knight e4, d4, d5, bishop d3. This is the old main line, where I recommend the quite new move bishop f5, where you don't need to memorize many lines, which has been played on top level quite a lot in recent years, and black is doing well. So you don't need to memorize a lot of lines, and you're very solid in this opening, yeah? And as Anna said, if you want to have a solid game after the opening without memorizing too many lines, I think Petrov is a very fine opening. It deserves actually to be played much, much more by amateur players. But as you said, Anna, all the amateur players want to attack from the beginning on instead of being patient. And yeah, then the Petrov is, of course, quite boring sometimes. Maybe quite boring. I don't know. I actually played 2 times the Petrov, and I had 2 times a quite chaotic game. I don't know why. Very strange.
Yeah, it's usually because if one side doesn't want some chaotic game, it doesn't mean that the other side doesn't want it.
Yeah.
So maybe white creates something, and then it gets sharp.
Objectively speaking, it's a great opening because it has been played by very strong players like Vladimir Kramnik played it a lot, ex-world champion. Caruana is playing a lot. The Chinese players are playing it a lot. Magnus Carlsen is not playing it, to be honest. I never saw Magnus Carlsen playing the Petrov. He's playing always the Rui Lopez or Italian game. Nevertheless,
he had many openings, but
maybe
Petrov
this too.
is not one of his favorites. Yeah.
No, maybe it's too passive for him. I don't know. Okay, we have some openings left. The four knights game. The four knights game is e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, knight c3, knight f6. Yeah, very easy to memorize. Four knights are out in the game, and that's the reason for the name. White has here some options. The main in the four knights game goes with bishop b5, developing the bishop and preparing castle. Here black has two main options. The one is bishop b4, just mirroring the white's moves. Castle, castle, and we have a quite slow game, a bit boring, quite equal. A bit more entertaining is the move knight d4 here, attacking the bishop. After bishop b5, knight d4, attacking the bishop. Here this is much more entertaining, I would say. Then we have, instead of bishop b5, we have g3. I remember one Russian grandmaster, Igor playing this a lot in the 90s, like crazy. He was very successful with it, with g3.
I mean g3, yeah. Maybe you can just mention that after bishop b5, there is also bishop c5 and bishop d6. They are one of the main
c5?
lines. Yeah, bishop c5 is played quite often, and bishop d6 is also played quite often. For example, if bishop c5 is more or less understandable, then bishop d6 may look a little bit strange, but black's plan after bishop d6 is to play castle, followed by knight e7, c6, bishop c7, d5, and this knight from e7 goes to g6. So if you make all this, then you will actually have a great setup with black. Yeah, sorry.
Very easy idea. Easy to memorize. Yeah. Right. I was talking about g3, and here the main line goes, of course, d5, and it transposes, I think, to Vienna game. After taking on d5, knight d5, bishop g2, take on c3, take on c3, and I think this is actually transposing to the Vienna game. It's very similar.
Yes, it can be in Vienna. Sometimes white develops the knight to e2, but the main setup is with the knight on f3. What I know so much about bishop b5, first move bishop b5, is because I play it myself quite often. So
with white, with white.
Yeah, with white.
Okay. So maybe you should do it. Maybe you should do a video.
Oh.
Oh. Okay. Other options here are d4, but this d4 transposes to the Scotch because after e d4, knight d4, the main move by far is bishop b4, and then we have a main line of the Scotch opening. Very old and a very old and known line. Okay, minor moves are moves like bishop e2 or a3 in the fifth move, with the idea to get a better version of some d5 lines if black plays d5. But this only, I think, surprise weapons. There is also a move which many amateurs are playing, is bishop c4. And here, Anna, black has, of course, the possibility to take the pawn on e4 with a knight. And after knight e4, he gets the pawn back with d5. And has a very nice position with black, because at the end, black has a pawn in the center. After bishop d3, take on e4, bishop e4, and bishop d6. This is an equal position. But black has a pawn in the center, which is, of course, favorable for him. That's the reason why on top level you will rarely see someone playing bishop c4. Most of the players like super runner play bishop b5.
Yeah, or d4. I can just add that the ideas of this a3, sometimes maybe you saw some a3, is that white is waiting, and if black goes with d5, then e takes d5, knight d5, and we play bishop b5, and we get exactly the same position as in the line of here. You see it's reversed after fourth move d4, e takes d4, knight d4, bishop b4. So it's exactly the same, but just imagine black has an extra tempo with h6 or a6, so that this is the reason behind playing a3 or h3 here. But on the other hand, black is not forced to go d5, although it's very normal to play d5 here. But now black can try to play bishop b4 or some other move. So I mean, just that you understand the idea of this waiting move and a little bit strange looking move because it's not developing the piece.
Yeah, nice explanations. Where do I rate it? Anna is playing it, so it's a good opening. Come on, it's a good opening.
For knights, it's a very solid opening. I agree that rating is as a good opening. It's a good choice.
Very good choice. You have to make a video. I would watch this video because I never played in my life the 4 Knights game, to be honest. Never.
Oh, I think I have played like 20 games or maybe more. So yeah, I do have some experience.
Okay.
So my turn, just a few openings left. So center game. The center game, maybe some game, must be some game in the center. And I would guess, what is the center game? Just second move d4?
Yeah, e4, e5, d4.
e4, e5, d4. So here we are in the center game. And I can't tell you right here what I think about it because it mainly depends what you want to do after e takes d4 because there are some options.
I think take it with the queen, yeah? It's a center game.
Yeah, so about c3, we have been talking before.
Yeah, we talked before,
There is queen d4. And there is also, for example, knight f3. And knight f3 has the idea of also avoiding the Petrov, so there will be no Petrov. If black plays knight c6, we are in the Scotch. So if you're ready to play Scotch and if you want to avoid Petrov, you may think about playing knight f3. But also you have to be prepared for third move d5 and for third move bishop b4. So actually, these moves are also quite good for black. If we are speaking about central opening only after queen takes d4, then to be honest, I don't know what to tell you because this play is actually like violating the opening rules. Because how are we taught to play chess? First, we have to develop the minor pieces. We shouldn't develop the queen because the queen will be under the attack. For example, after knight c6, we have to make another move with the queen, and this is kind of looking not so great. So for the beginners, I wouldn't recommend that because it's not correct. First of all, you should learn how to play chess correctly. While for the higher rated players, this actually deserves attention because first of all, you are taking your opponent a bit out of the theory. And a very strong grandmaster, Jan Nepomniachtchi, has tried it a couple of times, not only in the Blitz and Rapid games, but also in the classical games. He continued with Queen e3. The idea is that after knight f6, he plays knight c3, bishop b4, bishop d2, short castle, long castle, And now after rook e8, there are some lines where white is sacrificing the e4 pawn, like for example with playing queen g3, and the position gets very complicated. So white is attacking black's king, and black really needs to know how to react to that, because if you don't know theory, then you may have some problems. For example, one of the problems is that after bishop c3, you can't take with the knight because it runs into the checkmate. It's just one of the problems. And the main move after queen g3 is actually rook e4, which I believe the lower rated players, they not so many of them, I wouldn't say none of them know about it, but if you don't know, you will never play it. If you know, then okay. Then you're actually not such a lower rated player.
Yeah, I've played this line in blitz games quite often, and it depends really on your opponent. The stronger the opponent, the more you get this rook e8, queen g3, and rook e4 line, which is good for black, because black is winning a pawn basically for rather dubious compensation. But the more weaker the opponent, they play many times they play something like rook e8, queen g3, and then d6, and then you can play f3, and then you have the liberty to attack on the king side with h4, h5, h6, or yeah, it's a very easy play because you have saved the pawn on e4, and then you have really good attacking chances on the king side. So try it out in blitz games if you want, but it's risky. It's risky.
Yeah, I was about to say that I am going to put this opening into the risky, tricky category.
So let's do it.
I don't know what else I can add about it.
No, it's a risky opening. Yeah, it's a risky opening. Now we come to a not risky opening. This is the two knights defense, but it depends, of course, how you play it. The two knights defense starts after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, and now knight f6, and not bishop c5. Knight f6 is the other main move here in this position. Developing the knight, very natural move, attacking the pawn on e4. And now with white you have two basic continuations to defend this pawn. The one is very natural d3, which is by far the main line. But of course you have this knight g5 stuff. At the same time attacking the pawn on f7, which leads to very tactical lines. But here white is neglecting his development. After d5, ed5, knight a5, and so on and so on. There is a lot of theory actually in the line after bishop b5 check, c6, take on c6, and then going back to d3 with the bishop, which looks a bit unnatural because you're blocking the pawn on d3. But bishop d3 has the idea to defend, to control the square e4, and after h6 you can go back to e4 with the knight. This has been played quite a lot in the past 2 decades, also on top level. It has been extensively analyzed. I don't really like this line from white's perspective because you have to play some rather strange looking engine moves to keep the tension and the compensation, and not the compensation, to keep some initiative. I really don't like it. The main reason is you don't develop your pieces. All in all, I don't play this knight g5. I myself play exclusively d3, protecting the pawn on e4. And here black can transpose to the Italian game gioco piano with bishop c5. This is actually played a lot by many players in order to avoid several lines which are rising after c3, after bishop c5 in the third move, because here you can't go to the Evans gambit or other strange gambits or other gambits. But many times players play bishop e7, then we castle, and then a big tabia is here rook e1, d6, a4. This is also a very, very important line in theory. which has been played a lot, and is played a lot. I must say played with white a lot. And black has a lot of possibilities here. He can try to exchange the bishops via bishop is a6. He can go even king h8 with the idea knight g8 at f5, which is very risky, but it's playable. Then the other line is knight a5, attacking the bishop, going back with the bishop, and black tries to have more control of the center with c5. So a lot to know here, a lot to know after d3. What else in the two knights defense? White can play.
There is also d4.
d4, yeah, d4, ed4, and here white can play e5 or castle. Yeah, these are the main moves. Remember, after e5, of course, we counter with d5 as black. Counter attack in the center. Any other move is really bad. And after bishop b5, we go to e4 with the knight. And here, this is this is a tabia for itself.
Okay, I can't say that all the other moves are bad, because actually knight e4 or even knight g4 are not that bad in this position.
No, I mean d5 is very, very important.
But no, knight e4 is also quite good.
Knight e4? Ah, okay.
Yeah, knight e4, and then the theory goes like queen e2, knight c5, then the knight comes to e6. White plays something like short castle or d1, but black is quite okay in this line. So I would say the main moves are d5 and knight e4. I mean, if to sum it up, for sharp players, for players who like some tactics, craziness on the board, I would recommend to go for knight g5 or d4. I think I would prefer knight g5 because this is the move that I played so often when I was a kid. But you have to be really very careful, as Georgios mentioned, because you are playing without the development. You are playing with the pawn up. Also, instead of bishop d3, here are some moves like bishop e2. There is queen f3. But whatever you choose, in every line, black will have a serious initiative, and there will be always a serious counterplay. So you really have to know what you are doing after that. After d4, there is less of theory, but I mean, if we choose between knight g5 and d4, I think knight g5 is more challenging. Well, if you don't want to go into any craziness and you prefer to play solidly, to play positionally, then just go for d3. And yeah, we will have kind of maneuvering game. You have to know more the ideas rather than concrete lines.
Correct. So, two knights defense, but this is from black's perspective. Of course, this is a good opening. Actually, this should be rated even great because it transposes a lot to the Giuco piano.
Yeah, between great and good.
Yeah, between great and good, yeah. I put it on good. Good.
Yes. It is. It's a good opening. It's almost great, or it is great. Just we think it's good. Whatever you prefer.
Both options are.
Both options are
logical. I don't know.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Reasonable.
And now I'm in troubles because we have 3 openings and I have no idea what does it mean. Damiano Defense, Parham attack, and Napoleon opening. But Napoleon opening is first move knight c3, no?
No.
Knight c3 followed by knight f3.
No. We have e4, e5, and then it's all open games.
Okay, what is Damiano Defense?
Come on, Damiano's Defense, the worst opening in chess history. e4, e5, knight f3, and now f6.
Just never played it. Just never do it because after knight e5, white is winning.
It's basically winning, but it's called Damiano's defense. It exists. Yeah. Okay, it's winning.
I guess it was named after some Damiano player, but if he played f6 so often to deserve that the opening is named after his name, how bad was Damiano then?
Yeah, he was one of the first chess players, actually. It was in the 16th century or 17th, I don't know. And it's named after him. I don't know if he played it or if he just analyzed it. Maybe he analyzed it more. I don't think there were so many chess players at that time. But we have to show the line why white is winning. Because after f e5, queen h5 check, black has serious problems. After g6, then after queen takes a5, double attack, white is winning the rook on h8. Yes.
Or another line was king e7, which acts queen e5, king f7 is 4, then bishop c4. Then like king g6 is just like very bad because queen f5, king h6, I think d4, g5, and just
h4 and white is winning.
King is in trouble, so it's better to play d5 after bishop c4, so that the bishop controls the f5 square, but still it's like very bad for black.
Yeah, because of h4 too, and then we are threatening mate h5, d4, and something like that. Yeah. Believe it or not, I made a video about this opening too, of course. On my video channel.
You didn't take the video off.
On my channel, you find any videos on any nonsense, so on traps and non-serious openings also. Yeah, Damiano wrote a book in the 16th century where this opening is mentioned, and this is probably the reason why it's named after him.
Well, that's definitely a very bad opening for black. Don't play it. Not only because it's losing actually, but also due to the fact that f6, you take the square away from the knight. And even if we just play bishop c4, it will be very difficult for black to castle. So it's not only bad because of the tactical reason, but it's also bad because of the strategical reason. Yeah. I mean, though it's seen very often from the beginners, I mean, for people who just know how to move the pieces, somehow after knight f3, they usually, I mean, these people who just know how to move the pieces, they first try to play only with the pawns. So after knight f3, you may face f6 very often. So if you are like playing against someone very, very, very weak, just remember that after knight e5, you can actually win the game just in a few more.
Yeah, but there is one funny line, actually. After f6, knight e5, if you want to play this line with black, you have to play then queen e7, not taking on e5, attacking the knight. And here, white should not play queen h5 check, I think, because of g6. And if knight g6, then we have queen e4 check, double attacking, and winning the knight on g6. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's a fantastic line. So white has to go back with the knight. It's very serious, and white has to go back to f3 with the knight, of course. And yeah, he enjoys a much better position because black is just neglecting his development. While black is winning back the pawn after queen e4, but bishop e2, castle, and white has a great development advantage. So, rating this opening, I think, is not very difficult task.
I've already done it.
Yeah. Nonsense. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I will do then Napoleon opening because you don't know it. It's e4, e5, and now queen f3. Queen f3. Fantastic move. Queen f3. Napoleon opening.
Named after. Was known for for developing the knight, not for developing the queen. So I don't know. It must be some mistake. You have to check it once again.
Yeah, I checked some English Wikipedia site, and Napoleon opening was Queen F3, and I think there are some stupid games from him. I don't know if he played them really, if he played them, or if someone else wrote them down and said this was Napoleon's games. Okay, Queen F3. Actually, nobody's playing Queen F3, and I don't know what the idea of Queen F3 is. Maybe some version of the scholars made with Bishop C4, but here Black just can develop pieces, yeah, like Queen F6, Queen C6, and of course it's not a good opening to bring your Queen out in the second move, and Queen F3 is of course, yeah, a bad opening choice. So there is nothing more to say about it. I put it on the nonsense row, and I think you don't need to add something, or do you have some idea?
It's just breaking the rules of chess.
Yeah.
Bringing the queen out on move 2. I think Queen H5 makes much more sense, though Queen H5 is also.
And this is the next one. Parham attack.
It's Parham attack.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Parham attack. What can I say about Parham attack? I can say that it's definitely wrong, and it's not the way to play it, and it's not the way to play it with white, especially. We may also remember Carlsen's game, yeah, played in the World Blitz Championship. He he thought he was playing with some very weak opponent, and he played Queen H5. But then he lost the game. So maybe he won't repeat it anymore. Here we also have this kid's checkmate, yeah, after knight c6, bishop c4. And many kids may play knight f6, and after queen f7, they will start crying. But if this only trick doesn't work, then queen h5 is not a good move. Surprisingly, after queen h5, black may even play knight f6, and after queen e5, black goes for bishop e7, and followed by castling, rook e8, and some ideas of knight e4, because there will be serious threats over the e file. So knight f6, queen e5, bishop e7 makes a lot of sense. It's normal way to play. Look, black started like second, yeah, first white moved, and black was second, but here black has developed two moves. On the next move they will castle, and look at white's development. It's horrible. So don't try it. Don't try it unless you are Carlsen.
But I think Carlsen even lost a game against, yeah, no.
He did lose the game against someone rated 2300.
Yeah. But to be honest, objectively, it's not that bad, I think. Okay, if you know the best moves from the engines, then it's a bit better for black. But after queen h5, knight c6, bishop c4, the main line is g6, queen f3, still threatening mate, knight f6, and here knight ge2, bishop g7, and this position is more or less equal. Yeah, of course, you shouldn't bring your queen out that early, but the position objectively is not that bad.
Yes, but it's more like white is trying to fight for equality, and there is literally no trick. I mean, the only trick is that black blundered the checkmate. Otherwise, there is no trick. So
this is a trick. This is a trick. This is a trick.
Sometimes it's enough, but I prefer when there is at least one more.
Yeah, maybe you try it out once in a while, then you will recognize that your opponents defend well, and then you will never play it again.
You know, I can't put it into risky tricky because with one trick, come on, it definitely can't go to great good for standards. So I would rather say it's a nonsense.
Nonsense? No, I would say it's risky. It's not complete nonsense. It's risky.
Because you know why? Because you have only the risky. you named this category just as risky. Well, I named it risky tricky.
So
And so I don't see any tricks.
it deserves much more in your list to be included in the risky tricky because it has at least one trick. No? There is some logic behind my words, I think.
Miss Solid putting queen h5 in risky tricky.
Miss Solid. But you are not Miss Solid. Why you name yourself Miss Solid? You're an attacking player par excellence.
I am more like an attacking player, that's true.
Yeah.
But though I think my play is quite balanced, I can't say that
of
my
course.
Attacking skills
You're a
are
grandmaster,
like
of course. Of course.
But even some grandmasters, they have, some of them are much more tactical or much more strategical. While in my case, I would say I am 60% attacking player, while 40% positional player, something like that.
Okay. Wow, that was it. Much more than 1 hour talking about 17 open games. I think we missed some of the openings, maybe Bomb Cloud, maybe Philidor, but it was done by myself, this tier list, shortly before the stream, because there weren't a tier list in chess with open games, so you have to excuse me.
I think that was a great list anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks once again for preparing. And I don't know if you are following my chat, but here on my chat, the viewers were also kind of thinking where to put each of the openings in which category. So we had the poll for every single opening, and some of the results were really